How we doing, guys? Lots happening in the market right now. Bitcoin having a push on a Sunday, which is interesting to see, especially with the ETFs closed. So it looks like there's a little bit of front running of the ETFs going on. Potentially is a trap. So we're going to look at that. Bitcoin has never broken through and had a close above on the daily time frame above the macro 0.618 fib. So we're going to have a look at that, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on what could happen next leading into the halving, which is only now 69 days away. So just a very, very slither above 2 months, and we're there into the post halving, which usually ends up being the period of time where Bitcoin starts to make its move above the 0.618 fib and towards new all-time highs. Then obviously once you break new all-time highs, move into price discovery, and things can get really wild from that point on. So I'm not too sure if we're going to hit all-time high. I mean, some people are saying before the halving, which could happen if these ETFs really pump quite aggressively over the next 2 months. When I say pump, I mean the inflows into them, because it's what everybody's keeping their eyes on. If those inflows continue to heat up, then the market is going to push much higher and potentially break a new all-time high before the halving, which I think is probably unlikely, to be honest. I don't even know if we're going to actually make it to the 0.618 before the halving. If it is, it's probably going to break through on this push. Otherwise, we could end up getting a rejection here and rolling over. But let's jump into the charts and have a look at everything. I'll show you guys what I am seeing. Oops, excuse me, that is just our Discord group. All the guys in there chatting. So let's go and have a look quickly. This is current price action, and we've come up to the macro 0.618 fib. And we're stalling out a little bit, or at least on the low times. Not really stalling out at all, to be honest. It's more just moving into a low time frame bull flag, but it could end up rejecting. So if we go all the way back to 2019, we had this really nice run up through here. And basically we tagged a 0.618 and rejected from there. There was also some pretty clear levels on the monthly time frame as well that we were rejecting from also right through this area, which made it pretty interesting, because we're also rejecting from a pretty clean monthly level at the moment as well. So it was actually the monthly all-time high. I'll show you that in a little bit. Say the monthly close all-time high, not the wick. It's always the close that we look for with things like that, because it's the level of acceptance of the price of the close, okay? And then back here, we had a pretty strong rally into the halving, and then it was rejected pretty much right at the 0.618 fib once again. So let's jump across to our other chart. We can see here the yellow line is on, this is on Coinbase, perfectly measured from the all-time high to the all-time low for that macro fib level, and prices come up and is perfectly rejecting off that level. Even on the 5-minute chart, we can see that the sellers came in, and yeah, we haven't been able to break through it. So potentially this is going to just continue to push and do these bull flags after bull flag, like similar to what we did back here. You can't rule that out. It still is holding above this little continuation block here, which when market is really strong, the buyers will come in and support it at that level until eventually it forms some sort of a bull flag structure shape, like sort of what it is now. I think getting a close back above this level here, something like that, could definitely lead it to its next leg up, that's for sure, and break through that 0.618 level. What we need to be careful of, though, is price getting knocked back down. A really big move like this on the weekend, is always a little bit suspect, and it definitely could end up being some type of a trap. Especially if we look on the lower time frames, the move up into this level, there's some huge volume through here. Especially on the weekend, right? So you don't usually just compare that to the rest of the volume over the weekend, really, really low, then bang, really big volume, probably a fair few liquidations through here as well, up into the 0.618, and then it stalled out at that point there. So going to be very interesting to see what the daily time frame ends up doing. Last time we came up to 0.618 at these levels, ended up closing much further back down. There's still 19 hours to go until we end up closing this daily. So if this ends up looking like a pin bar or something like that on the close, so we close back down as a red candle, or they'll be gray on this chart, underneath 47,780, the daily close. That to me would sort of give a pretty strong indication that this was a local top. We're going to reject from the 0.618 and roll it back over. I'd be potentially looking for maybe a re-entry at 44,200 or something like that. It's still too early days. Like you can't make high time frame trades off a 5 minute chart rejecting from the 0.618, right? If that's like a massive level for you, then maybe you will do that and just hope that you're correct. And if it starts to trade up, you trade above it, you end up getting back in. But for me, I want to see what the 4 hour time frame does. I want to see what the daily time frame does and how these candles end up closing, because I think that's quite important. Are we going to get continuation from here, or is this going to end up rolling over? Now, I'm just going to pull up our Thomas DeMark indicator to see if we have any nines, but still fairly in the middle of this rally, to be honest. We have moved up. So back in the low. So my last video, actually, we were down here and I talked about how there were heaps of buy setups everywhere across the board on BTC. And then, we had the 9 buy signal come in here and then, really nice reclaim of range lows. Once we reclaim range lows, I was looking for a rotation up to 44K, maybe 45. And then I was actually expecting price to roll over from one of these levels and come back down to the range lows and then either move up or roll over down to 35K, something like that. So this move has actually even surprised me, to be honest. I did manage to catch once this became quite obvious that this is going to play as a bull flag and we're pushing up like this price action through here. If you've been following me for a while, I really like this type of price action here. We have a three-day candle. I shouldn't say 3 days, but 3 daily candles. When you get this formation of 3 candles like this on the daily time frame, it's really powerful. 4 hour as well. But at the end of a consolidation, usually is a strong indication that you're going to end up moving in the direction that you get the candle close in. So this is what I teach in our course, our market mastery course, which we're finishing up at the moment. We have 2 lessons still to go, but you can still join us and watch all the recordings. Check it out at www.marketmastery.io. Little plug there. But basically what we look for here is this down candle and then a doji candle in the middle with wicks either side, and then a strong up candle in the third candle, which closes above the opening of the down candle. And so we call this a morning star reversal, this 3 candlestick pattern. And on the daily time frame, they're really powerful. Also on the weekly time frame, almost every single reversal on BTC comes from one of these. Or on the weekly time frame, or a bullish engulfing, which is my other entry candle setup, right? So we have the Morningstar reversal, which closes above the down candle. So I call this an engulfing Morningstar reversal. When I saw this, I was expecting it to move to upside. So I did manage to catch a long on leverage and still holding my BTC spot from entries much further down. Excuse me, back in this range down here, in this reaccumulation range down there. And yeah, basically after we took off, just loaded up on a whole heap of alts, which I've been posting about on Twitter, Facebook, and Discord, if you've been following me there. But now I'm starting to think, should I be looking to close some of these trades? And that's going to come down to what this daily time frame ends up looking like. And maybe I'll close the BTC long that I took down here about 43K. I might close that if we get a bearish close on the daily time frame, and then look to reload back up. Because I think if this does come back down, it'll probably bounce off 44 and then go from there. But it all comes down to what happens during the week with these ETFs, because I think that narrative is really taken over. And the 0.618, yeah, there's going to be a bunch of people selling there, but with these big floods of buyers and capital coming into these Bitcoin ETFs, I just don't think that a strong sell level like the 0.618 is going to be able to hold and hold back all of that buying. So absolutely huge week coming up for BTC price action this week. That is for sure. Look at this weekly time frame. We're quite oversold, overbought here. We had a really strong continuation on the 9s after our Thomas DeMark 9 candle got put in. You don't usually see it continuing for that long before you get a reset. And we got one down candle, basically, the reset. And this hammer candle on the weekly time frame is pretty substantial. And after seeing that, you had to suspect that potentially this was an indication that the market was going to begin to push and move back to the upside. So, potentially, on the weekly, like this looks incredibly strong right now. The only thing that I could really see us, rejecting from is if this ends up just a whole move ends up being a trap. We have a big down candle like this in the next week, and there's heaps of outflows or something like that. Something happens in the ETFs, but I think that's I don't know. Maybe it's a trap and the whales are sucking everyone into it, but I think that's probably less likely. I don't know if this macro 618 is going to be able to hold BTC down before the halving, because realistically, the halving is only, about 8 weeks away. Not too far. So it's about 21st of April, which is about 69 days. So, we're really pushing about 8 weeks until the halving. So pretty interesting at the moment, guys. That is for sure. Just looking at a whole heap of trades right now. So, I mean, this one was a pretty nice one. A couple of guys in Discord caught that one. Beam definitely had a really big move. Let's look at some of the ones that we've been following for a while now. And we're going to start off with Solana quickly here. So Solana ended up forming this really nice inverse head and shoulders, and it's sort of breaking that at the moment. And support and resistance flipping the highs. So wouldn't be surprised if this ends up taking off soon. It probably needs BTC to have a little bit of a pullback, but not a crazy dump. What I don't want to see is this end up coming back below here, and then starts looking like a little bit more of a rising wedge type shape. So I do want to see Solana take off when Bitcoin stalls out. I'd love to see Bitcoin, sort of stall out, not break through the macro 618 fib until the weekly open starts, and these ETFs have a bit of a chance to catch up. And while BTC is stalling, slowing down like Monday, Tuesday, or something like that, all the altcoins get a chance to take off and catch up, because Bitcoin is obviously hitting new highs right now, and a lot of these alts are still much further back. So in my last video, we were talking about Solana being a really nice setup down at this daily pin bar. This daily pin bar just closed, and I was talking about the potential for this to end up trading as a Morningstar reversal. We ended up getting that closing nicely and back above the range lows. And then, we were looking for it to break out of this falling wedge type structure, right, which it has done, and then chopped sideways, forming into that inverse head and shoulders shape, which is a pretty standard move from a falling wedge breakout. And I'm expecting continuation for this to come up and hit the new high for the year. Okay. So yeah, that was obviously a really nice entry if anybody actually took that trade. I know there was a lot of people, sort of all doom and gloom and, the world's ending when price was down here, because we just had, how long was it when I put this video out? We just had 30 days of pretty much straight down, or not really straight down, but chop sideways and down. But yeah, this ain't going to end up being a great trade anyway. At 6.9R, pretty solid move. And if you like to percentages, it's about 50% move to the upside, right? So yeah, it's great little trade there on Solana, and we managed to nail the bottom. Link is absolutely flying right now, which is good. Actually sort of led Bitcoin's rally, to be honest. Interesting to see that Link has sort of decoupled itself. In the first part of this rally, BTC moved first, and then Link sort of followed, and then Link had a massive consolidation through here. And I think the reason why is it wanted to keep pumping, but every time it got up to the highs again, the volume was sort of picking up into the highs. The founder was continuously selling and dumping on everybody, which is a bit unfortunate, to be honest, because I think that this coin has potential to really trade quite amazingly and do some huge multiples. But unfortunately, the team and the founder, you can say they're getting a little bit greedy and selling on everybody. And some people argue that they're using that money to develop the project and everything like that. But I think it's a bit of a combination of both, and unnecessarily dumping while the market is trying to run. But potentially they've held it down for long enough, and they decided that they've finished their selling tranche, whatever it was that they wanted to offload. And it seems to be moving by itself now. Like this push that it had, Bitcoin and everything else was sort of just back in the middle of the range. And, Link made new highs and, sort of taken off yesterday and today, while the rest of the market had sort of stalled out after another push. Obviously, BTC just had a little run then, but Link had actually moved beforehand. So I think the next level for Link, honestly, is just going to pump and go sideways, until we get to about 28. And then we might have another consolidation like this for a little bit, or a deeper pullback. Usually when you have a breakout of accumulation, you have a big sign of strength that moves sideways like this for a long time. Especially like pre-halving type price action, it might do stuff like this and having like, nice push up, maybe hit 30 or something like that, and then have a really strong pullback just to wash out people that get into the move late, and then they panic sell, and that so adds to the selling pressure, come back and maybe hit this level and then take off again. Like I've seen that happen so many times. So don't be surprised if something like that happens on Link. And we get a 35-40% pullback or something like that. Okay. Rose is another one, really nice breakout from its accumulation range. And then it's flipped the peak from back in August 22 as well. We're back above that level. I mean, this is a nice, sort of falling wedge type breakout as well. Really nice sweep candle here at the bottom, which is the same one that we're talking about on BTC when we nailed that bottom in Solana as well. So that's up a really nice trade as well if you took that one, right? And like pretty much all I was looking for back here when we were taking these trades is, the market had been selling off for like some time, almost a full month. Daily timeframes, everything was getting really close to being oversold, right? And I just thought that everything was ready for a swing high. And that's why I made that video that we'd come back and tagged like, this is a really good example here. The reason why I'm explaining this to you guys, so, you don't need me to, call all the trades for you, because some people always want me to be calling all the trades constantly live and everything like that and posting everywhere for them. Like, it's better if you guys learn how to pick these yourself. So the reason why I use this indicator, which is a custom indicator that we made ourselves, you can get it if you join our Discord. I actually think this one might be free. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's part of our indicator suite anyway, and it highlights order blocks for you. I just like to have it on because sometimes you miss them. If unless your eyes are like really trained in for them, it just makes your life a little bit easier. But price does like to come back to these. Like you can see, tried to bounce off this one, but then it ended up rolling over. Got the red or the bearish order block in here, and then we rolled over. But yeah, basically pin bar in here after, almost oversold, pin bar right in the order block, daily pin bar, and then you have the Morningstar reversal. And yeah, those end up working a lot. Sometimes it'll come back and do something like this and then go from there. But yeah, that's the sort of setup that I like to see in the lows to get me excited about taking positions. Okay, Theta hasn't really moved that much since we had that nice entry set up, and you can see here that this one was a little bit weak. It didn't actually reclaim the clear range low level. We really say the range low was back here, or this level through here, right? And especially the Morningstar reversal got rejected here. So the ones in the Morningstar reversal closed above the down candle ended up being much stronger, and a lot of those are pushing back middle of the range or new highs. Whereas this one, it sort of gave you some insight that it wasn't as strong as the rest of the market because the bounce back, or it wasn't as much interest on the up candle. And see, the volume is quite low compared to the rest of the market that actually has moved up, right? So little things, candle by candle, there's always a little bit of extra information you can take away from what's going on. Illuvium's one that actually started taking off yesterday, but it's basically the same thing. Like so many falling wedges getting around, right? This one was a little bit slower, that's for sure, but the last week or so it's actually taken off pretty nicely. We're up at a really key level at the moment. This is a big support and resistance flip area. So want to see this on this move, take that out and flip this into support. Otherwise, that can easily roll back over or something like that. INJ is looking really good. Pretty happy with this one. A little bit slower as well, but initially had a nice rally into the middle of the range and then rolled over again. But nice double bottom through here, reclaiming range lows. I want to see this get a rotation to about $43. AVAX, really nice pin bar back here, off key level, previous swing high point over here. This was one of the ones that we covered off and I posted about. But yeah, that ended up being a great entry off that pin bar there as well. And it's probably going to continue up to the highs and either make new highs or stall out here and chop sideways for a little bit longer in accumulation. It's all going to depend a fair bit on BTC. You know, if BTC does pull back here for the macro fib, how far back does it go? And, you know, does that result in selling pressure on these alts? Now, remember when Bitcoin makes its move from, you know, inside a range, when the alts pump really aggressively is when it goes from range lows to range highs. It's Bitcoin, I'm saying, goes from range lows to range highs. One trade that I like the look of at the moment, sort of like had a little bit of a sell-off after looking quite good yesterday, is Ray, actually, because, you know, when Solana goes, usually Ray follows pretty quickly afterwards and can play catch up pretty nicely. And, you know, this looks like it's had a really nice pump into quite a large consolidation. You know, it's sort of come back to its 0.618 level, 50% pullback. So yeah, this can definitely make its move again to push. And that's quite a large move back to its high, 72%. That's probably one of the other ones that's looking quite nice. Pretty solid falling wedge breakout here out of that same thing that we were looking at the other day, that daily order block back here. I shouldn't say other day, a few charts ago, we were looking at pretty similar setups. So this is one of those ones, you know, if you ended this trade and put your stop loss right below here, you probably got stopped out. On, you know, we call this the mousetrap, when you have the nice setup and it comes back and sweeps that low there. And it basically traps everybody that's in the wick here, and then you take it out and then you run again from there. So I wouldn't be surprised if this came back, tagged that level through here, and then what do you got? Nice inverse head and shoulders, and then we're going off running to the highs again. Okay, so this is the sort of stuff that we're looking at. Nothing too crazy, like really basic level things. LDO, OP is looking, you know, decently strong as well. Nice reaccumulation range back here. Oh, really, this is, oh, excuse me. You know, this is a nice rally full market cycle almost through here. Then an accumulation range breakout of that. Nice sign of strength to pump again. Pull back, bounce off this key swing high point back here, and looking ready for the next markup. Okay, so those are the sort of trades and setups I like to look for. Ponk moving again today. Let's see if this thing can take off. I don't know. I like to stay away from these type of things, but, you know, if you're having a gamble, it's always hard because, you know, these can look so good and then just does this, right? And then eventually gets abandoned. So wouldn't be surprised if this did get another run though. Like had some serious hype just before. Towers one that's just been on an absolute tear since it ended up putting in this falling wedge. And then in the middle of January, it broke out. It's just been absolutely ripping ever since that breakout. It's up 160%. Pith is one I'm pretty heavy on, like this one. Listed, falling wedge, broke that out. We had a pretty nice inverse head and shoulders here. Nice support and resistance flip of that neckline, and it's just been running since. A lot of people loading up on Pith staking. There's going to be heaps of airdrops for that. This is a really easy one. Just buy some Pith, send it across to your Solana wallet, go to pithnetwork.com, and then you can just go and log the you can log or stake, I should say, stake your Python on the Python network, and basically from there you'll be able to claim airdrops when they drop. There's I think 160 different networks, something like that now. They're going to get different types of Pyth or Pith, whatever you want to call it, airdrops because they all use the Python network. So yeah, basically, I'm pretty sure Pyth stakers are going to get airdrops as well. So it's going to be an interesting one to keep our eyes on. But there's about 50 networks that's already integrated with as well that we're expecting airdrops from a lot of those. You know, if you are holding Pith, staking it, you'll get airdrops of those different 50 or potentially up to 50 different projects when they're using it. So let's have a look at a couple of others. So Stacks, Bitcoin DeFi here, you know, same thing, came down and tagged this order block through here. Also, we had support of the 0.618, and that's been an epic trade. You know, even if you got on the close, right, stop loss below here, right, already to 3R. So looking pretty nice. And then in terms of percentages, it's already up 40% from that entry we gave. Sovereign has been one. If you go back and look at previous videos, we were talking about the entry right here at the 0.618 level after quite a nice run. And this has actually run about 300%, 330% since that entry from the video the other day. So congratulations if you ended up catching any Sovereign. Very, very epic trade off there. So um, this is IBIT, which is BlackRock's. Excuse me. This is IBIT, which is BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, and that's going pretty nicely at the moment, almost back to its previous highs when we listed at $30. So let's see how this ends up playing out over the next few days. Probably when this opens, it'll gap up tomorrow and it'll be close to $30, unless we have a big pullback on BTC over the next couple of hours into the weekly open. So Jupiter's an interesting one. Hasn't really done that much since it opened. I think because it had such a big airdrop, everybody's just dumping it like crazy. They have like this weird thing going on with their protocol about how much money they can raise and stuff like that, depending on where the price is at a certain date. I think it's in a couple of days, but they've basically got a selling band in between like 70 cents or something like that and 40 cents. So prices, once that ends up closing, we might see some more interesting price action. But I wouldn't be surprised if this one, once it's finished washing out, only just listed, once it's finished washing out, all the people that want to sell might end up taking off from there. So I think this is definitely one for us to keep our eyes on. But, like there's nothing really to trade here. Definitely one for us to keep our eyes on. You can try and force and say, oh, yeah, but, this might be a double bottom, but it could also be anything as well. So don't try to force things when there's so many other good trades getting around. Osmo. This is a coin I actually like. I think it's going to end up being pretty big on the Cosmos, INJ, TIA. Probably should have a look at TIA as well, sort of ecosystem. SKL has been one that we've been in for a while. It's been absolutely launching. A lot of the guys got in and had about 140% move. We got in around the 0.04 area on this pullback. But this looks like a really nice support and resistance flip of its accumulation range. So while it's still above that range high, I think, which is pretty much, let's just say above 0.7, so 7 cents. While it's above there, definitely a lot of potential for this to continue pushing to upside and starting to move back towards levels, about 30 cents, right? So heaps more upside still in this one. So that's a 300% move up to 30 cents. So keep our eyes on that. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we will see you all in the next episode. Please leave a like and subscribe if you got something out of this content.